Here we go. Another golden technique that I'm about to give you right here. This one is a gem. This one has changed my writing for the better. I hope you're taking notes because these revision techniques are not just gonna jump on your poems and do themselves, all right? This one right here and a few of these take work, but it's about taking your writing to the next level, evolving your writing to an improved draft that you're hopefully more satisfied with than your first draft. And that's what this is all about. Now I'm gonna go back to the basics, but you will be surprised how many people don't take these into consideration. First off, the 5 W's. I know, come on, Sergio, are we really gonna talk about the 5 W's? But ask yourself, right? We learned the 5 W's in elementary, middle school, maybe in high school. When's the last time you sat down and revisited that? When's the last time you wrote a poem and asked yourself, well, who's in the poem? What is this poem really about? Why do I have to write this poem? Or why do I feel like I want to write this poem? Where is this poem taking place? When is this poem taking place? What this does, right? What this does, and I'm not asking you to include all 5 of these details in your poem. I'm asking you to take these details into consideration. What I do after I write a poem, catch my breath. What I do after I write a poem is I write these down, all 5 of them, and I answer them about whatever poem I'm writing. Where's the poem happening? Why is this poem written? Who's involved in this poem? Whether I mention them or not, right? When is this poem happening? Is it daytime? Is it nighttime? Is it in the winter, in the fall, in the spring? Is it where around the world? Is it grandma's house? Is it Florida? Is it New York? Is it America? Is it Canada? Am I in Egypt? I want to ask myself all these details. And then after I'm listing out the details, I want to intentionally decide which details are going to serve a purpose in my poem. Write out these details for every single one of your poems. Choose a poem, write it out, who, what, when, where, why. Answer them to the best of your ability to as many details as you can. Who, even if you didn't mention them, write out all the who's. Who is involved in this poem? Even if it's just a bystander, even if it's someone you can't name, who is involved? And then you get to go into these details that you list out and decide which of these details are relevant, which of these details will I intentionally implement or intentionally leave out. It's all about intention, right? The next one, you know what I'm about to say, the basics. The 5 senses. The 5 senses, again, when's the last time you sat down and asked yourself where the 5 senses are in your poem? Because that's what this is. Poetry is communication. Poetry is, I have something in here, and I'm trying to use the English language or the Spanish language, whatever language you write in. I'm trying to use language to get you to see, feel, hear, smell, taste everything that's happening in here. And I got to put that in my poem to give to the audience. I'm trying my best to help the audience see in my mind, see what I'm trying to deliver. So the same thing with the 5 W's you do with the 5 senses. Sight, smell, hear. I write them all down. Taste, feel, emotionally and physically. And then I start jotting them down. Even if it's not mentioned in the poem, I'm gonna jot them all down. What did I smell in the setting of my poem? Were there any scents? Was there anything? What did I hear? Were there any sounds in this poem or in this event that I'm talking about in the poem? Write them down. And after you write them all down, after you write down the answers to the 5 W's, after you write down the answers to all the 5 senses, then you get to go through these brainstorms and decide intentionally which of these details you want to include in your poem, which of these details are going to serve a purpose in your poem, and which of these details you intentionally want to leave out. Which of these poems and that's important. When I had my abuela poem, since I mentioned it in one of my other lessons, I'm gonna bring it back, right? In my abuela poem, I talk about visiting her in Florida. I talk about feeding her. If I was to revise that poem, I might want to talk about what I was feeding her, right? Or did I intentionally leave it out, right? I want to talk about the music she was listening to, right? We played Celia Cruz. I mentioned that in the poem. You can find that on YouTube, right? I had to ask myself, where are the five senses in this poem and which one of them are relevant right now? I could have talked about the cars driving by, but that was relevant. That was irrelevant. I don't want that detail there. The fact is, though, that I wrote all those details down. So take one of your poems that you want to revise and try this out. Take all your poems and you try this out, right? Who, what, when, where, why. Write down the five senses. Brainstorm. Write every single detail involved with this poem that has to do with this poem in some shape, way, and form. You might have 2 pages full of notes, but then you get to go back and decide on which details you intentionally want to implement or leave out. This is all about intention. This is all about your poetry not writing itself by accident. This is about you as an artist picking your words wisely. Choose your words wisely. That's what this is about.